everyone, if you are just getting started in UI UX design, then I can guarantee there is one acronym you've heard of at some point in your design journey, WCAG. And I know it is big and I know it looks scary, but it's actually a very, very simple concept. And this is the world's easiest WCAG crash course. So by the end of it, we'll know absolutely everything we need to know to get started with UI UX design and completely understand WCAG to the point where we can actually apply it in our day-to-day lives. So let's just get started. WCAG stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and it's basically the global rulebook for making your websites and apps usable for everyone, including people with disabilities. So why should you as a designer care exactly? First, accessible design is a basic human right, especially in the world of internet. Secondly, it's the law in many countries. And thirdly, let's be honest, accessible design is just better design. It's better for SEO, it's better for usability, better for sales, better for absolutely everyone. Now, WCAG is built on 4 simple principles that I like to remember with the word acronym P.O.U.R. Perceivable, Operable, Understandable, and Robust. Let's break them down really easily. Perceivable. Can people see and hear your content? Think readable text, proper contrast, all text on images. Operable. Can people use your content? Can someone navigate your site with a keyboard alone? Understandable. Is the user interface predictable? Are your forms and buttons actually labeled clearly? And finally, robust. Does your content work with screen readers and assistive technology? So, WCAG has 3 simple levels. A is the first level and it's the basic level. AA is recommended for most products, and AAA is the very strict level of WCAG. If you're just starting out, aim for AA. That is the sweet spot and the industry standard. Let's talk about the 3 levels of WCAG compliance, because not all accessibility is created equal. Level A is the bare minimum basic level, and it covers the basic essentials like making sure your site doesn't have traps for keyboard users so that keyboards navigate your site, or images have some kind of alt text. This is the most basic level. Your sites are technically accessible now, frustrating user experience or confusing and unusable interfaces for a lot of people with disabilities. So in most cases, level A isn't enough, especially for public facing products. Level AA is the industry standard. This is where things get truly usable. This is what you and I are aiming for. It has more realistic requirements in terms of all user interface things. For example, text contrast needs to be strong enough, navigation should be consistent, error messages need to be clearly explained, and keyboard only users can reach everything if they want. Most government websites, large businesses, and public services are required by law mostly to meet WCAG level AA, and honestly you should aim for this too, whether or not it's required. We'll talk about how to achieve this level in just a moment. Level AAA is the gold standard, and I am only bringing this up because yes, you need to understand what it means, but also I am here to scare you. Level AAA is the highest level of accessibility, and it's tough to reach. Like, it's physically quite difficult. We're talking even higher contrast standards, absolutely no use of slang or idioms unless explained, which already is so difficult for me to do. Live videos must have sign language interpretation, and users should be able to adjust line spacing and font sizes without breaking the layout. I mean, that's a little bit too much even for me. Level AAA is amazing if you're designing for a very specific audience, like an app for senior citizens or people with cognitive disabilities specifically, or users with very limited vision, but it's almost impossible for every part of a site or app to fully meet AAA in real world standards, so it's considered optional and not required. Alright, now that we've talked about all of the theory, let's talk about UI design specifically. What are the steps we can take to make sure you always reach a basic AA level of WCAG accessibility? And it's just a very effective list of things to keep in mind. Number 1, color and contrast. Make sure text has enough contrast, at least 4.5:1. If you're still unsure of what this is, you can use a bunch of color contrast checker tools. They will give you a ratio of the two colors, background and foreground, and 4.5:1 is a good number to get started. Number 2, typography. Use fonts that are clear and legible. Stick to a minimum of 16 pixels. I've been reviewing a bunch of award sites these days. You can check out the complete live streams right here, and I am so annoyed by some of these incredible looking websites which genuinely don't think about accessibility. Number 3, avoid long stretches of all caps, because A, it looks like you're screaming, B, even if it doesn't, it's just a lot and it's just difficult to take in, and C, it becomes really difficult to even understand, break down the concepts that you're talking about. Alright, let's talk about forms now. Firstly, every input needs a label. Don't just put random inputs in there hoping people will understand. If you're just putting what they need to type out in a placeholder instead of having an actual permanent label, then a user will click on your input, forget what this was about, and it'll be a confusing form experience. Group related fields. If a couple of elements are related, if they can be put together, put them together. Clarity is very important when you're asking the user to do something like fill out a form. Number 4, buttons and touch targets. Oh my god. Wow, you've gotten me started on this topic now. Buttons should be easy to tap for, because again, I have been reviewing so many sites these days and I can't start talking about how many buttons are just so small. It makes you want to squint, you can't click it. There is just weird stuff happening. Aim for 44 by 44 pixels of very, very bare minimum button sizing. Interactivity is the entire point of a website, and if you take that away by making buttons way too small to use, then it's just why, how, what am I going to say about this? All right. That was one big rant. Use clear action text like submit or continue instead of click here. And I'm going to expand on this now. Do you know how many times I've gone to sites and the button just says click here, and that's a very uncertain experience, because technically the site should do what you want it to do, but I don't know what this click here button is exactly going to do, even though I do have some guesses, and it could be one of the following scenarios. Click here to do the action that you want to do. Click here that the action the site wants to do. Or, and this is the most disturbing part, click here to install a computer virus. And you don't know which of the following it's going to do, and you just have to click here to find out, and you have no context in deciding what happens with your site and its actions. This is very, very confusing. Instead, using clear action text like submit or continue is much, much better, even if they sound simple, because at least with submit and continue, you are certain that the elements right here are going to be submitted, or you're going to be able to continue to the next action on this site. And the third option, the more concerning one, is actually not the case. So for the most part, it's easier for the user to understand and work with the site if there is transparency in what's going to happen next, and that can be achieved when you're using clear text like submit or continue. Focus states. Keyboard users need to see where they are. Sometimes people just love using keyboards, and that's an incredible audience as well. And when you remove that focus outline that comes with keyboard usage or accessibility and replace it with something that's basically invisible just to increase your prettiness of your UI, you're just sabotaging a lot of your audience, and that's a really bad thing to do. So just make sure you never remove that focus outline, or replace it with something just as visible, just as clear, even if you have to do it customizably according to what your site's user interface is like. That is my top 8 actual usable scenarios I'd apply WCAG accessibility to. If you want to check your designs for real world WCAG accessibility, you can try Figma plugins like Axe or Stark, and screen readers like VoiceOver on Mac and NVDA on Windows are also really, really easy starting points if you want to get started with accessibility. The final tip I can give you today is don't try to memorize the full WCAG spec. Instead, design with empathy. Imagine using your product with your eyes closed or only using a keyboard, and test your work often. Accessibility is a team effort, you guys, and we all have to try to make the web an accessible place, a good place for absolutely everyone. Make the world inclusive on the internet. And by the way, I do realize as I'm looking at the audio recording for this entire video, I have been particularly angry today, which is, I don't know why it's happening. Maybe because WCAG triggers me a lot. Maybe it doesn't. Anyways, this has been a passionate topic for me. I am so happy you got to see this video. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. I will see you in the next one. And that is it. If you found this helpful, give this video a like and share it with your designer friends. Subscribe to the channel. Alright, love you. Bye.